Worldwide at thezone1059.com.
All right, here we go. Hey, get on in here. It's Wednesday, halfway point of the week. Another SEC football week. Not everybody's playing. We got some open dates this weekend and not necessarily the best lineup of games, but we do have some interesting ones to peek ahead to. And so we'll do that here today on this Wednesday and more in the Bureau. Welcome in. What do y'all want to talk about today? Is it time? Are we far enough along to look at stats? You know, around here, we never look at stats early in the season. Week 1, week 2, week 3. That's pointless to look at the stats. Different schedules. Some teams have played somebody. Some teams have played nobody, right? But so the question is, you're 5 weeks in. Some have played 4 games. Some have played 5. Is it time to look at stats? I don't know that it is. I mean, it's almost it's an open-ended deal. Like, it's up for debate. But we will can debate that. We might look at them and just kind of see what it looks like statistically in the SEC, and then, you know, figure out if we would rather just wait and do that again after another month when everybody will have played a bunch of SEC teams. So whatever you want to get into is cool with me here today on this Wednesday, and you can be a part of the show lots of ways. Hey to you on the live stream. If you're on YouTube or Facebook or X, formerly Twitter, feel free to drop a comment. Just post it. It pops up here in this column, all of it. All the comments from every platform comes in one computer screen right here in this column. And then I can choose it and click it. And when I do, it's up on the screen for you to see. Like, here you go, Will. He's in YouTube land, and he said, "Happy Hump Day, Matt." Back at you, Will. Thanks for being here. Like on Facebook here from Gene, who says, "Hail State from Vicksburg," all caps. What's up, Gene? I really like Vicksburg. Get to see it soon. And you can text me on the Country Pleasing text line. The number to text is 885-3776. 601-885-3776. Text that number. You'll get in here. I'll see it. Beaver can see it too. We can all see it. And you can be a part of the show that way. It's kind of like modern day staying connected on social media type deal where, you know, it's the next best thing to plopping down at the table with me and Beav and grabbing some hot coffee in your mug and just join the conversation. It's the same thing. Right? Isn't it the same thing? So, yeah, text away. You can also call me. That way I get to hear your voice. That'd be great. Get to hear somebody else's voice other than mine. Call me on the Junction phone line. The number to call is 897-1059, 601 number, 897-1059. You call that number, you're in here on the Junction phone. Junction delis all across the state of Mississippi. Fuel for your belly at the Junction Deli. And when you go back out, thanks to Prince Oil Company, you can put some fuel in your gas tank also. So call me on that number, and we will chat things up here today. Airborne Dog was the first to text the show on the Country Pleasing Sausage text line. I had original smoked sausage flavor, the original smoked flavor, for breakfast this morning, among other things. Airborne Dog says, "Hey, Matt, it's a great time to be a Bulldog when almost every news channel / sports channel is talking about MSU." Are they? He says, whether it's volleyball being 11-1, the new baseball coach, the roster, or 90% of people seeing the changes that Levy has made in a positive light. Yeah, right? That's nice. Good to be talked about in a positive light for whatever that's worth. I mean, that being the key phrase there for whatever that's worth. Nunya texted the show. He said, "Nope, stats are still skewed." Well, see, that's kind of how I sort of feel about it, because, you know, nobody's schedules, for example, in the SEC include a lot of SEC games. Ole Miss, I guess, the only one that's played a bunch of SEC teams so far. But that includes Arkansas and Kentucky, which you know, this year, you see, so it's like, you know, some non-conferences are tougher than others. And so I agree with you, Nunya. If you really want to get a good feel for what's happening statistically, we really are going to have to wait another month. But it wouldn't hurt to just take a glance and see if anything jumps out at us. You know, at least we didn't do it in week 1 or week 2 like some mush heads out there, right, Nunya? At least we waited 5 games into the year to at least glance at the stats. So, we'll do that. Hey, did I see Sven? Yep. All right, Sven is here. He's over in Berlin, Germany, so it's nighttime over there. He's on YouTube, and he said, "Happy Hump Day, everyone." I don't know if you've noticed, but we lost 4 players against the Vols, including Isaac Smith and Jerron Manning, which is half of the secondary. And then Will is asking, are they out for the season? And Will, I don't think that's confirmed one way or the other. I think, isn't it today? Doesn't the availability stuff initially come out today? So today might be your first real look at it. When they asked Jeff Levy about it 2 days ago, I guess on Monday, he said, no updates. We're going to let the weekly normal availability stuff speak for all of that. So I think we're waiting on that for today. All right. Yesterday on the show, out of nowhere, nothing wrong with it. Nothing wrong with it, out of nowhere. Yesterday on the show, on the Junction phone line, Warren called in and wanted to know if me and Beaver were to make a Tombstone type movie about Wyatt Earp and Tombstone, Arizona, would Beaver, A, be willing to play Doc Holliday, and B, would he make a good Doc Holliday? Now, that was Warren's question yesterday. Let's see what he's got for us today. He's back on the Junction phone line. Warren, thanks for calling. What's up?
Hey, I wanted to know if you know the line on the Miami-Florida State game. And I heard also that the line on A&M in State is 14.5. I think that's a little high.
You do? Let's see.
What do you think?
Oh gosh, I'm when it comes to that kind of thing, Warren, unfortunately, I am totally useless on that kind of stuff. I just don't have any idea. Let's see, but ESPN, the worldwide acronym, says, 14 and Texas A&M minus 14.5 hosting State, and then for Miami and Florida State, they say Miami minus 4.5. That's what it says right now.
I could see that, but don't you think A&M's like really high? That's 14.5 points.
Well, yeah. Let's just be honest, Warren. Based on the way we've seen State play in 2 home games against really good teams in Arizona State and Tennessee, then I would say that feels too high, but first time for State to go on the road to a really good team. And I think it's also a little bit of a scary matchup for State because A&M has a really good pass rush like Tennessee, and State's Achilles heel kind of offensively is pass protection. So I don't know that it's a really good matchup for them, but and then the injury thing is kind of up in the air too, so maybe that plays into it. I don't know.
Okay, well, thanks. And,
yeah, man.
Y'all have a good week.
All right, you too, Warren. Call me anytime. Thanks for the phone call. It was good to hear from old Warren. Never know what you're going to get from Warren, do you? Yesterday it was Tombstone the movie. Today it's that. Straight up gambling. Is that what it is? That's a little bit of sports. Hey, hold on a minute. I forgot about this. Let's see if Beaver can hear this. Hold on. Here we go. Hey, Beef.
Hey, Matt White.
How does it feel to be summoned by someone ringing a bell?
It's something.
Is it off-putting?
Well, at least I know, if the volume's turned down and whatnot, or
Yeah.
Bill's in here talking. Now, we know most times it doesn't matter anyway.
It doesn't
Bill
matter.
going to keep talking.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
at least it's a nice heads up. So, yeah, I'll go with the Bill. No problems with the Bill here.
I forgot to ask you what it was Bill wanted when he came in the studio yesterday when I was there with you. And he just came barging in and like handling, he's TCBing over there, taking care of business while we're on the air. Yeah. I assume it was nothing major.
No, it wasn't.
Good old Bill. Okay, Beaver, you sent me a picture yesterday. I didn't know this is a thing. Ravioli that is shaped like Halloween stuff. So we're not just talking about candy now. We're talking about real food. We're getting ravioli, pumpkin, and bats shaped. Your thoughts, sir?
I had no idea this existed either. I went to Costco. I hadn't made a Costco run, and I couldn't even tell you the last time I was at Costco. And I went in there, and yeah, just walking over to the frozen section, and there's this big case, and I'm talking a big case, and all of a sudden there's shaped raviolis. And what popped in my brain space, of course, was we always talk about the Reese's shapes.
Yeah. Even
though they're just peanut butter cups you can get any time of the year, shapes, it's a thing that shapes make them more enjoyable. Really? So I saw these for the ravioli, and that's the question I posed to you. Does the same rule apply for ravioli as these candies?
Well, I mean, my thing is it's your taste buds, Beaver, and it's your stomach and it's your meal. Have what you want to have. Who am I to tell you? Also, it looks like you took a picture of them while they were in your buggy. So
no, I didn't get any.
Oh, you didn't buy them? Okay. I'm intrigued by it myself. I'm also intrigued by the food coloring they've used in the pasta because the pumpkin-shaped ravioli are orange and the bat-shaped ravioli are black. So I'm impressed with that too. Hey, why not? It's for kids anyway, Beaver. Silly rabbit. Ravioli's for kids. Did you get the reference there, Beaver? Did you get that reference? Silly rabbit. Tricks are for kids. I was really impressed that you saw that, sent it to me. I think, Beaver, for me, I would like to try that. I like ravioli. I would like to try it and see if it tastes good like normal ravioli. What about you?
Well, you got to be careful. Clearly it's spooky ravioli with those shapes.
I thought you were going to say spoofy ravioli. It's a spoof. But we digress. Where's my applause? There it is. Halloween things, bats and pumpkin-shaped ravioli. That's where we are, folks. Hard times, right? Hard times. Hard times. Okay, regarding those players that Sven mentioned at State who got banged up, which included Isaac Smith and Jerron Manning, he went on to say here on the YouTube live stream, if they can't play Saturday, the Aggies will light us up in a very bad way. I think the mobility of A&M's quarterback, too, for a defense like State could be real trouble. Hail State fan, 135 days until first pitch for MSU baseball. It won't be long now. It won't be long now. Like that cat who sat his tail on a railroad track. It won't be long now. Sven said, regarding the injuries, he wants me to call someone and tell you what I know. All right. I really should use connections, shouldn't I, to get inside information for the show? Jared, I'm working on that. I think I have a way to still get a stream up for you on Facebook or YouTube on Tuesdays when I'm out of the normal Tupelo studio. I think I do. But I just forgot to take that stuff with me yesterday. It was pretty busy yesterday. Thanks. Clinton on YouTube says, great channel. Love the breakdowns. Appreciate that. Thanks for watching. And Prince Philip, the man, the Prince of Neshoba County, Hulk, all caps, that's his baby boy, won the flag football title. Another touchdown. This time, no video. He says, your fault, but know this. He says, Prince, folks, can catch BBs in the dark. And he likes my hat. Man, this has fast become one of my favorite hats. My gray, maroon patch and white lettering with a white rope Prince oil cap that I got when we did the remote at the junction up there across from Germantown High School, Philip. It's quick because it just fits. It just sits on my head. It's light as a feather. It doesn't make indentions on my bald head. And I like it. You know, I got to get me another one. I wear them out pretty quick, so I need to go ahead and get a backup. Hint, hint. All right, on the country pleasing text line, unnamed texter says, Ocean Springs native Garrett Crochet, huge performance for the Sox last night. And then he says, let's go. Yep, how about that? Beating the Yankees. MSU 1980. Was what, game one of the wild card? Yeah. MSU 1980 says, Matt, do you fly with the team or drive to the games? Well, see, so if I'm counting it up right, this is my 15th year doing color, but so about 17th year total with the crew, because before that I did pregame, postgame. Is that right? Yeah, so this is the 15th year in the booth. And for 13 of those 15 years as the color guy, I flew to every road game with the team, and I still could if I wanted to, but I had I got tired of some things, and life changing, and just kind of wanting to be in control of your own schedule, and that includes the weekends and your own sleep, and that includes the weekends and stuff. Some of those things. So anyway, I had the experience last year. I think was my first year to decide that I was going to drive to all the road games, no matter where they were. I think it was to all of them. I might have done some the year before too, but I had such a ball doing it that, yeah, that's the plan for now. And I think there are some coming up in the future that are just simply not drivable. But, yeah, forever and ever and ever flew with the team. And it's like being a player. You're on the team, whole team's on there, coaching, staff, everything. I've told you this before. There is more food available on a road trip than any one person could possibly eat. And that goes for every person. And it's great. And everything, you fly back. It got a little laborious for me because we'd always fly back. You'd be back in the wee hours, land in Columbus, okay, get off the plane, board a bunch of buses, and ride those buses over to campus. But then I'd get there, and it's jump in a car and still drive a pretty good ways to get home. And so I've been driving, spending nights after games and coming home on Sundays for road games. And what it does for me selfishly is, I get to stop and see things, get to do some sightseeing. I love seeing stuff I've never seen before. I really enjoy driving and traveling, riding in the car. And then you want to stop, you can stop. If you need to stop, if you're hungry, whatever you want to do, you can do. You can kind of be in control of it. So now I drive. We'll see if it changes back one of these days, if I get tired of it. Blair from Brandon, he's our man who went to Tombstone, Arizona. He was sending us pictures yesterday, which is cool. He says, narrow it down for me. I got to pick between butt, brisket, or ribs to smoke for the weekend. Need some Beaver and Wyatt expertise. Well, first of all, I am going to pass it on to others. I'm not a foodie, so I'm certainly not an expert. Now, if we could get Real C in here, he'd have an opinion. He's a barbecue connoisseur or a grilling and cooking connoisseur. I like them all, butt, brisket, and ribs. I might go, just for me personally, I like ribs. Beav, do you have a piece of advice for him? He's got to pick one, which one he's going to smoke for the weekend.
Oh, God, this is tough. All right. I'm going to go. I got to eliminate what was our choices? Butt, brisket, ribs.
Yeah, those three. Which one?
Oh, my God, it's so tough. I'll eliminate. Well, my first answer, my immediate thought is, why choose just one? Do them all.
Yeah.
But since we have to, let me eliminate the butt.
Okay.
Give me brisket or ribs. And in the end, let me go ribs.
Me too. How about that, Beav? Now, let me ask you. Do you have a preference between the wet barbecue sauce ribs or dry ribs?
Give them to me dry.
Me too.
I want to put my own sauce on if I want it.
Right. You got all options on the table if you get them dry. I like them dry too. You're going to be smoking them. What time, Blair? What's the location? Send me that pin. Beaver might be able to be there. Nick says in Tombstone that, Beaver, you would play the part of Ike, the bad guy.
Why am I the bad guy?
Yeah, why,
I don't know anything
Nick?
about this. Tell me about this Ike.
I mean, Ike was kind of the little, I don't know, coward's not the right word, but he was just one of the bad guys in Tombstone. Nick, I don't see that. I don't see that. It's really interesting, the stuff we get into, isn't it? Isn't it? I think it is. Hope you do too. I have 3 predictions for games this week. The State Texas A&M game, Florida State Miami, and Alabama Vandy coming in from Bama Fan. And I will tell you what his predictions for those games are and more when we come back. Just getting started with you here on this Wednesday. I'm Matt in the Bureau. Back after this.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Farm Bureau Insurance in Mississippi. Local agents in all 82 counties. So here's what that means. You have that fender bender, hopefully you don't, but let's say you do at an odd time. Something goes on. It's Saturday night at 11 p.m. You don't have to wait until Monday morning to call some 800 number and talk to someone 3 states away. You've got your agent's phone number right there on your phone because you go to church with him. Your kids go to school together. He lives right down the road. You see each other at the ball games on Friday nights. So it's personal with your local Farm Bureau insurance agent in all 82 counties in this entire state. And if anything does arise and you need to, run it up the chain or up the flagpole, the home offices for Farm Bureau Insurance are in Jackson, Mississippi. It's right here in the state of Mississippi. It doesn't get more local than and personal, the service that you get with Farm Bureau Insurance in Mississippi. I can't recommend them highly enough. And if you haven't, recently, let them give you a quote. Home, life, auto. It's Farm Bureau Insurance. Go with the home team.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Well, look at what we have here. Christmas come early. Boom. Little green onion country pleasing. That's not all. Little original smoked sausage flavor. That's not all. Jalapeno and cheddar. It has to be one of my favorite, just judging by how much of that stuff I eat. Oh, can't forget. Andouille. Don't be saying andouille, it's andouille. And last, but not least, pork and pineapple. Bun size, 3 links, bun size. Look at that right there. Be careful. Come on with it. It's mine. Come here, jalapeno. Oh, that's all mine. Country pleasing sausage. We'll be right back after this message from C Spire. My name is Matt Wyatt. I host the Matt Wyatt radio show out of my home using C Spire fiber.
And when we hit the road as a family, Matt's show goes with us, thanks to C Spire Wireless.
Its ultra-reliable nationwide network lets me broadcast live from anywhere
and never miss a moment that matters.
Connecting you to what inspires you most on C Spire's blazing fast 5G network. And right now, get your choice of free phone. That's customer inspired. That's C Spire.
Y'all like coffee? I know you do. Check it out. Little High Point Roasters from New Albany, Mississippi. That is the breakfast blend. It's a whole bean. And if you notice, that's how much I've had already. Brazil Oberon. Not Ogeron or Orgeron, you LSU. No, Brazil Oberon. That ain't all. We got that. What flavor is that? Papua New Guinea grade AA. Bring it on. High Point Roasters, New Albany, Mississippi. Roasted right there. That's whole bean. One more. I got more. Ah, tried and true. Magnolia blend. High Point Roasters coffee, New Albany, Mississippi.
1059.com.
Back with you. I'm Matt in the Bureau, the Farm Bureau Insurance Studio. Farm Bureau, go! With the home team. Thanks for hot coffee from High Point Roasters in New Albany, Mississippi. Ah, it's just right. Just right. Go to highpointroasters.com. You'll be glad you did if you're a coffee drinker like me. All right. Bama fans' predictions for these three games. He's picking State in the upset, 28-24 over Texas A&M. And you know the thing about that, too, that's interesting, Bama fan? Last week, there were some people predicting here on the show that State would hold Tennessee under 30 points in that game. And I said, no way. If they, regulate, if they hold them under 40 in regulation, I'll be really impressed. Well, State actually did. And defensively, again, you look at what you gave up. What was the total? 34? That was the total in regulation, 34? Okay, so 14 of that was offense, just handed them 14 points. They didn't even have to run a drive. It's one thing to have points off turnovers where you get a turnover, then you have to put an offensive drive together to score. It's another thing you don't even have to play offense. Defense just scored. Pick six, fumble return, TD. Offense never ran a play. Turnover, immediately 14 points. So defensively in regulation, you give up 20 points. So I've learned my lesson. Hey, maybe it's possible. Now, I do think you got to hope some people are healthy or can go for you, I think. But he's picking State in the upset, 28-24 over Texas A&M on the road. He has FSU whipping Miami. And, of course, it's in Tallahassee, Saturday night, 6:30 on ABC. He's got Florida State 34, Miami 20. And then he had this one for us yesterday, too, but he's sticking with it. Bama in a blowout. Blowout Bama. Bama 42, Vandy 20. There you go. So there's Bama fans' predictions for those three games. Nunya says the best way to beat a good pass rush is to break off the routes and get the ball out quickly, screens, etc. Yeah, I was having that conversation yesterday with somebody who was asking, if State runs some of those running back screens where you let the pass rush go and you screen behind them. And I don't think we've seen a whole lot of that from State. A lot of outside screens, what they call now screen, where you get a little bit of cushion, you just give it to the guy now and see if you can make 4 yards. Some things like that. But not a lot of your typical running back screen, right, where you go 1,001, 1,000, turn them loose, and then follow your lineman, let the rush go. That sort of, you don't see that. Didn't see that much from State. Screens are not a bad idea. I think another way that you counter a really good pass rush is you just run the ball at them successfully, and more often than they want to. Another way to do it is you get them to chase sideline to the sideline. You make them run, stay on the field. You make them run laterally so people get tired, and then you run the ball at them successfully. I think that's another way. Let's see here. Where are we? Will says, well, let me back up. He said, you want stats, Matt. Marcel Reed, this is of A&M, 1,076 yards passing, 9 TDs, 2 picks. Shapen, 1,064 yards passing, 8 TDs, 3 picks. So that's really close. And then running the ball, Fluff Bothwell, 405 yards and 6 TDs. Moss, 307 yards and 5 TDs. Those are your season stats for the offensive skill people of those two teams. How about that? All right, over to the phone, the Junction phone line. Junction delis all across the state of Mississippi, fueled by Prince Oil Company. You go there and put some fuel in your gas tank at the pump, go inside of the deli, put some fuel in your belly. Number to call, 897-1059. And on line 1, it's Judy. Hey, Judy, thanks for calling.
How are you doing today, Matt?
I'm great. Thanks.
You're not going to ask me how I am?
Yeah, how are you, Judy?
I'm still in. I told Beaver this, so I'll tell you. I'm still in mourning about State's loss Saturday night.
Yeah.
It was a super game, in my opinion. My opinion only. We could have won. Probably should have won.
Yeah.
But we didn't.
That's what it boils down to, right?
Bad driving home. Sir?
I said that's what it boils down to. Either you do or you don't.
Exactly. But I was proud of our dogs for fighting like they did.
Mm-hmm.
I can't say that they gave up. Well, I know they didn't give up because they came back and tied it.
Right.
Well,
Yep.
Tennessee may have tied us. I don't remember the details.
Yeah.
I just remember it was tied and went into overtime.
Right. That's
And
about
we
all
did
that
not
matters.
score like we needed to in the overtime.
Mm-hmm.
I just wanted to hear your voice on my telephone.
Well,
you have a good
thank you.
day, and
Thank you,
thanks
Judy.
for what you do.
Thank you, Judy. I appreciate your phone call as always. Call me anytime. Well,
Will do. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. And Judy's right. It's, coulda, shoulda, woulda, might have, didn't. That's just kind of what it boils down to. And that's the way sports are. Close. What's that saying? Close only counts in horseshoes and hand grenades. It doesn't count in football. Airborne Dog texts the show and says, to go off your Tombstone reference, are you Wyatt or Doc? And what does that make? Well, yesterday in our conversation, I was Wyatt Earp, he was Doc Holliday. I think that would work. Kenny, don't call me Ken, says, while playing adult City League flag football for many years, the huddle after any drop pass could be brutal on the receiver. Whoever dropped it was destroyed. What were the huddle dynamics at the college level after a drop? Well, Kenny, I don't know, because I don't think I ever had any receivers drop any passes. So that's one, honestly. I don't remember that. And two, yeah, I mean, my remembrances of the huddle, which again, I did play in an era where we huddled up most of the time outside of a 2-minute drill at the end of the half or end of the game. But my remembrances on the huddle, so you're just always moving on to the next play. You're not even really, it's like you get such a mindset when you're playing at that level of the play happens and whatever happens, as soon as it's over forever. You don't even think about it. Outside of discussing it as it pertains to the next play, it's gone. You don't even, somebody making a mistake, oh, well, move on. Just, there's not I never was on teams where there was a whole lot of jawing or picking or lamenting what just happened, which probably it speaks to being on good teams. You have the right mindset is once the play's over, you've immediately forgotten it and move on to the next one, which you kind of have to do at that level. Sounds like coach speak, but it's actually true. So we told him ribs. Blair said thanks and sent us the Emerald Lagasse meme there going, bam! So he's going to think maybe he's going to go with the ribs. Real unnamed texter suggested smoking some wings too. Delta Tide fan says, now who are we talking about? Hold on, I got to figure out who we're talking about here. We're talking about Vandy's quarterback? And did this come in today? Yeah, okay, so maybe this was today. Let me read this. He said, do you think there will be any effect on the morale of Alabama, the recent news that Johnny Manziel will be on the Vanderbilt sideline this coming weekend when the Commodores travel to Tuscaloosa? No, and not at all. Delta Tide fan, let me just tell you, quite literally, the only people who give a flip about Johnny Manziel being on any sideline at that ball game are quite literally a few people like on social media. That's it. That's all. Just make sure you understand, Delta Tide fan. I'm telling you the truth. Every player and every coach on both teams could not possibly care less that Johnny Manziel's there or hanging out. Like nobody cares as it relates to the ball game at all. That's totally just something drummed up for attention. And then it said to put his height in perspective, okay, Delta Tide fan said, I'm 6'9", I weigh 237 pounds, but I'll also be 47 years old in December too. He's 18. Was that meant for somebody else? I don't know if that was related to what we were getting there, Delta Tide fan, so I got a little confused in reading it. And Nick says, if Seinfeld characters were in Tombstone, what? Jerry would be Wyatt Earp. Kramer would be Doc Holliday. George would be Morgan Earp. Newman would be Curly Bill. And Lloyd Braun would be Ringo. Nick, make that into a meme or a graphic that we can share on social media. Okay, like put their pictures on there. Photoshop that, and then you're going to have something. All right. Rolling along with you here on this Wednesday, I'm Matt in the Bureau. The Farm Bureau Insurance Studio. Back after this.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
The Junction Delis, convenience redefined, and Prince Oil Company, a match made in heaven. The Junction Deli, fueled by Prince Oil Company. Prince Oil Company has been fueling Central Mississippi since 1960s, pretty good little while. Wonderful people. Man, am I ever more tickled that they're a part of the show and I'm a part of their team now. As you know, if you listen to the radio show, I've been to the Junction in several different places around the state. I've bought gas just like you at a lot of places that are fueled by Prince Oil Company, and they are really wonderful people. By the way, that brand spanking new Junction Deli, Chevron, right across the highway from Germantown High School. It's in Canton, but we say Gluckstadt. Do you realize they and other Junction Delis, they serve country-pleasing sausage over there on the buffet? They don't get much better than that. The Junction and Prince Oil Company. That's what I'm talking about. We'll be right back after this message from C Spire. My name is Matt Wyatt. I host the Matt Wyatt radio show out of my home using C Spire fiber.
And when we hit the road as a family, Matt's show goes with us, thanks to C Spire Wireless.
Its ultra-reliable nationwide network lets me broadcast live from anywhere.
And never miss a moment that matters.
Connecting you to what inspires you most on C Spire's blazing fast 5G network. And right now, get your choice of free phone. That's customer inspired. That's C Spire.
Welcome to my photography studio downtown Tupelo. Everybody needs a headshot, especially if you're in the professional world, in sales, any sort of customer related business. outreach business, anything like that. Everybody needs a headshot. Here at my photography studio in Tupelo, we do a lot more than just headshots, but we're kind of focusing on headshots for that very reason, because everybody needs it. Let me show you a little something about it. One thing I'm able to do here is sort of have 2 to 3 different looks in a small space that we can do in a short amount of time. Several different looks and styles of lighting with studio equipment, studio lighting. Some with flash, and a particular look that I've worked on, a constant lighting scenario where you sit down, the lights are already on, you lean in, and we kind of illuminate the whole face. And we get several options in the studio in a short amount of time. Here's 2 priorities for me when I shoot headshots. One is it has to look like you. Okay, none of this fake stuff. The other goal is it's got to look like you at your best. And that's my job as a photographer. And I've got a lot of experience over the years, and I feel really confident I can do that for you. I would love to schedule a session for you here at the studio in downtown Tupelo. I'm above the Reed's Gift Shop, just off of Troy Street, the corner of Troy and Spring. If you can't get to Tupelo, that's okay. Let's talk about it, because we can pack the studio up and come to you if the schedules fit and that sort of thing. I'd love to help you with your headshots. I think everybody needs them. I'm inviting you to please email me, reach out. You can go to my website, mattwhyattmedia.com, email address matt@mattwhyattmedia.com, and let's talk about your headshot. Farm Bureau Insurance in Mississippi, local agents in all 82 counties. So here's what that means. You have that fender bender, hopefully you don't, but let's say you do at an odd time. Something goes on. It's Saturday night at 11 p.m. You don't have to wait until Monday morning to call some 800 number and talk to someone 3 states away. You've got your agent's phone number right there on your phone.
All right, back with you. I'm Matt. In the Bureau, if he's still hanging on there, Beeve, let's go to Jason in Flagstaff, Arizona, on line 1 of the junction phone. Jason, you there?
Yeah.
All right, take it away. You have the floor, sir.
All right. Well, do you hear me all right? 'Cause
yep.
Y'all ain't getting my text messages. So.
Yeah, let's see. I haven't gotten a text, I don't think, on here from you, but yeah, I hear you fine.
Yeah, I sent a bunch yesterday too. It's probably my phone.
Okay.
Again. But yeah, I texted this morning asking what was that old saying you had about stats.
Yeah, I heard it from some guy who played for Nebraska like back in the 80s. His quote in a press conference was, "Stats are like a girl in a bikini. It'll show you a lot, but not everything." That was the stat.
Yeah, that's it. That's about how I feel about it. But yeah, I was calling to see if you had any of the defensive stats handy, because I'm thinking State's defense is a lot better than they're getting credit for. Now
Jason,
that I'm watching Arizona State.
I didn't know you were going to ask that, but I was actually glancing at it during the commercial break, and so I have it right here in front of me. But scoring defense, they're giving up in terms of points there just a hair over 17 points a game, which is tied with Vanderbilt, right smack dab in the middle of the league with Alabama. And then, let's see, total defense, also in terms of yards, they are right smack in the middle of the league at about 7th, I think, or 8th. But that's at 305 yards of offense a game. And there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 defenses that have given up more yards.
Well, all right then. I was, I've been kind of keeping up with Arizona State because I don't really have a choice. It's in my face all the time, and they've been pretty good other than State. So anyway, also I texted yesterday, and y'all probably didn't get it. The guy that's wanting to go to Tombstone, I would advise him to go like in the late winter, very early spring. Sometimes there's snow on the mountains coming in and out of that little desert area.
Yeah.
And it changes everything about how it looks out there. But anyway, I'll get off here and listen. Y'all have a good one.
You too, Jason. Thanks. And hopefully those text messages get to working. We've got them coming in, so yeah, it might be on your end. Just you might do what I do, Jason. Anytime something's not working, I just reboot the phone. And that usually handles it. Turn it off, reboot it. Regarding State's defense, again, stats to this point, they just are what they are. Not all schedules are the same, certainly. And so it can be a little skewed or misleading, but if you just wanted to glance at it, the fewest yards per game allowed defensively in the SEC are Missouri and Oklahoma. Both of them are just barely over 200 yards a game they're giving up as yards. I thought this was interesting in terms of touchdowns allowed. Tennessee has their defense has allowed the second most touchdowns in the SEC to this point. Only Arkansas has worse. And Arkansas defensively is a lot like, to this point, and some of it has to do with who they played, sure, but to this point, Arkansas defensively is kind of what State was defensively last year, and that is last in the SEC by a long shot. That's kind of – Arkansas has given up the most touchdowns in the league, 19, and they're the only team in the league giving up over 400 yards of offense a game. But Tennessee's given up, next to that, 18 touchdowns on the year. How about that? So a whole bunch of sacks, but they've also given up a lot of touchdowns. State's only allowed 8 touchdowns defensively, which, again, regardless of who you played, the fact that State's got 2 good teams in there and a 4-1 record, just it does, for their specific case, does speak to how much better State is defensively this year, as opposed to a year ago. Because last year they were the worst maybe they've ever been. Nowhere to go but up. And so this year, 5 games, got 2 good teams in there. A couple of competitive non-power teams, but, 2 good teams in Arizona State and Tennessee that you played. And State's just a little over 300 yards of offense a game. That's good. Middle of the pack SEC right there. 8 touchdowns State has allowed. You're helped by 1 shutout in there in your first 5 games. But there's a handful of teams that have given up more touchdowns. South Carolina and Georgia have both allowed 9 touchdowns. Kentucky has given up 10. Vandy, A&M, and Ole Miss have all allowed 11 touchdowns this year. And then I mentioned Tennessee with 18, Arkansas with 19. So really, you could say this, by far, Tennessee and Arkansas have by far allowed the most touchdowns. Their defense has allowed the most touchdowns. So there's some interesting stuff in there to look at. Patches O'Houlihan texted the show. He says, is Manziel having to do some mandatory community service this weekend on Vandy's sideline or something? Or for something he did in Nashville? Just asking. Yeah, no, I don't know what that is. Is it a deal where Pavia and he are friends or what? I don't really know. I know the thing of Manziel and A&M going in there and beating them that one year. What was that? 12 years ago, 13 years ago, whatever that was. So, no, I don't know what it has to do with anything. I really don't. Rick is on Facebook. He says, have you seen MSU's injury report yet? I have not. If y'all come across it, let me know. And if I come across it, I'll let you know. JS290 says, Matt, when you drive to the road games, do you use your own vehicle or a rental? Most of the time I drive my own car. But in some cases, I get a rental. So it's just depends on what else is going on or what kind of shape the car's in, really. Sometimes. Yeah. If you know me, you'll understand. I will wear one out. Will commented on YouTube, said the Auburn stat of the day. Jackson Arnold has taken 20 sacks in the first 5 games of the season. 10 of those came against Oklahoma. That is hard to believe. Well, and I guess that's a big reason why going into last week, right, Will, that the 2 teams with the most sacks in the SEC were Oklahoma and Tennessee. And what, Oklahoma was off last week? Yeah. So I guess Tennessee probably caught them with 5, probably lapped them. I think Tennessee was maybe 1 behind Oklahoma after that. I'll give you that. I'm scrolling up through here. They're on here. I just have to scroll forever to find the defensive stats over at SEC.com. And now that I bring that up, go ahead. Everybody nod in agreement, in unison. The SECsports.com, one of the worst major sporting league websites that's ever been devised. Yeah. All right, here we go. Yeah, last week, going into the games, Oklahoma had the most sacks in the SEC at 16. Tennessee was at number 2 with 15. They were 1 behind them. Well, Tennessee got 5 against State, so now they've lapped them with 1 more game. So Tennessee with 20 sacks in 5 games. Oklahoma with 16 sacks in 4 games. But what it does mean, they're both averaging right at 4 sacks per game. Where does A&M fall? A&M has 14 sacks in 4 games. So they're right there at the top of the league. They averaged 3.5 a game coming into this one this weekend, which is about where Tennessee was going into State's game last week, right at just a hair under 4 sacks a game. So that's where A&M is. They're up there. A&M in terms of the production, their pass rush. No, schedules are not the same. But State is in the bottom half, but they're not in the bottom of the league. They got 7 sacks in 5 games. That's 1.4 per game. Slightly better rate of sacks than Kentucky, Ole Miss, Georgia, Alabama, and Florida. Florida's in the bottom of the league. They've only got 3 sacks this year in 4 games, so that's less than a sack a game. A little surprised by Ole Miss, aren't you? 5 sacks in 5 games, so an average of 1 sack a game. So that's kind of weird. It's really, overall, we're talking about a difference of maybe 1 or 2 plays a whole ball game from the top of the league to the bottom of the league. But still, that's where everybody is right now. And I guess of note, if you're a State fan, it's note that A&M through 4 games averaging just a hair under 4 sacks a game, and that's where Tennessee was going into last week. They were right at about the same thing. Good stuff, Will. There's a stat worth looking at. All right. Looks like hour 1 is wrapping up. Hour 2 after this in the Bureau. Stick around.
The all-new
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Yeah.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Well, look at what we have here. Christmas come early. Boom. Little green onion country pleasing. That's not all. Little original smoked sausage flavor. That's not all. Jalapeno and cheddar. It has to be one of my favorite, just judging by how much of that stuff I eat. Oh, can't forget. Andouille. Don't be saying andouille, it's andouille. And last, but not least, pork and pineapple, bun size, 3 links, bun size. Look at that right there. Be careful. Come on with it. It's mine. Come here, jalapeno. Oh, that's all mine. Country pleasing sausage.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Welcome to my photography studio downtown Tupelo. Everybody needs a headshot, especially if you're in the professional world, in sales, any sort of customer related business, outreach business, anything like that. Everybody needs a headshot. Here at my photography studio in Tupelo, we do a lot more than just headshots, but we're kind of focusing on headshots for that very reason, because everybody needs it. Let me show you a little something about it. One thing I'm able to do here is sort of have 2 to 3 different looks in a small space that we can do in a short amount of time. Several different looks and styles of lighting with studio equipment, studio lighting. Some with flash, and a particular look that I've worked on, a constant lighting scenario where you sit down, the lights are already on, you lean in, and we kind of illuminate the whole face. And we get several options in the studio in a short amount of time. Here's 2 priorities for me when I shoot headshots. One is it has to look like you. Okay, none of this fake stuff. The other goal is it's got to look like you at your best. And that's my job as a photographer. And I've got a lot of experience over the years, and I feel really confident I can do that for you. I would love to schedule a session for you here at the studio in downtown Tupelo. I'm above the Reed's Gift Shop, just off of Troy Street, the corner of Troy and Spring. If you can't get to Tupelo, that's okay. Let's talk about it, because we can pack the studio up and come to you if the schedules fit and that sort of thing. I'd love to help you with your headshots. I think everybody needs them. I'm inviting you to please email me, reach out. You can go to my website, matt.wyattmedia.com, email address matt@mattwyattmedia.com, and let's talk about your headshot.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Farm Bureau Insurance in Mississippi, local agents in all 82 counties. So here's what that means. You have that fender bender, hopefully you don't, but let's say you do at an odd time. Something goes on. It's Saturday night at 11 p.m. You don't have to wait until Monday morning to call some 800 number and talk to someone 3 states away. You've got your agent's phone number right there on your phone because you go to church with him. Your kids go to school together. He lives right down the road. You see each other at the ball games on Friday nights. So it's personal with your local Farm Bureau insurance agent in all 82 counties in this entire state. And if anything does arise and you need to, run it up the chain or up the flagpole, the home offices for Farm Bureau Insurance are in Jackson, Mississippi. It's right here in the state of Mississippi. It doesn't get more local than and personal, the service that you get with Farm Bureau Insurance in Mississippi. I can't recommend them highly enough. And if you haven't, recently, let them give you a quote. Home, life, auto. It's Farm Bureau Insurance. Go with the home team.
View contracts and exclusions at endurancewarranty.com.
If you're driving a car or truck with an expired warranty and suddenly lost your transmission or needed a full engine repair, would a $4,000 repair bill leave you stranded? I'm Danica Patrick. Don't get caught off guard with a vehicle breakdown. Choose the company I trust, Endurance. No matter the mileage, if your vehicle is less than 20 years old, Endurance offers auto protection plans for any budget. Protection on the drivetrain, electrical, transmission, AC, and more. Plus 24/7 roadside assistance and rental car reimbursement on any plan. Endurance handles everything, from making the claim to paying the certified mechanic of your choice. Act now and get 1 full year of elite benefits. A $2,000 value, free.
Call for your fast free quote today. Call 800-298-2007. That's 800-298-2007. 800-298-2007.
Getting your car repaired is no easy task, and it takes someone with knowledge and certification. Clinton Body Shop takes pride in perfection and has more certifications than any shop in Central Mississippi. With 2 locations in Richland and in Clinton, their OEM factory certified staff is just a phone call away to restoring your car to its original condition. Learn more today at ClintonBodyShop.com or call 601-924-2159. Choose the team Mississippians have chosen for years with their car. That's Clinton Body Shop in Richland and in Clinton.
Get a $15 prepaid MasterCard after rebate when you buy 5 quarts of Mobil 1 full synthetic motor oil at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
O'Reilly Auto Parts. We are good to go.
With more of the Matt Wyatt Show. Coming to you direct and live at the Zone 105.9 and worldwide.
Now, here we go.
At the Zone1059.com.
All right, back with you. Here we go. Hour number 2 of the show, off and running on this Wednesday in the Bureau, the Farm Bureau Insurance Studio. Farm Bureau Insurance, go with the home team. They are your home team. You can call me, text me, or comment on the live stream. So lots of ways for you to be a part of the show, and I hope you will be. You can call the Junction phone line at 897-1059. 601 number, 897-1059. You can text me on the Country Pleasin' text line. That stands for Country Pleasin' Sausage. 885-3776. Got it? That's the number. Here it is again, 885-3776. Text that number. I'll get it right here. We'll read some of those texts, see where you want to go with it. And you can also, hey, to you on YouTube and Facebook and X out there, formerly Twitter. Feel free to drop a comment there and post it on the live stream. I can see it. We'll put it up on the screen and get you in on the conversation that way. Bama fan texted the show on the Country Pleasin' text line and said, it's going to be so loud in that stadium, no one's going to be able to hear him even talk. Talking about Alabama and Johnny Manziel running around on the Alabama sideline. He says Bama wins 42-20. Delta Tide fan. Let's see, I sent you some pictures of my nephew, senior in high school this year. Oh, well, I didn't see those. Delta Tide fan, I don't know what's going on. We have missed some texts. Jason got one in through us, but I didn't get any pictures from you a bit ago. So that might have been the mix-up, or maybe they just haven't processed yet, but I didn't get any pictures. Unnamed texter, hey, Matt, what all do we know about the Aggies defense for this upcoming game Saturday night? Well, they're pretty good. The biggest standout thing, and look, it's Wednesday, we'll have some time to, learn a little more, and I'm going to spend some time tonight and tomorrow. I really couldn't do it yesterday. I was traveling. Monday was a bad day. Sunday was a bad day. For this, was still kind of reviewing, made a film study video, was able to get it posted Monday. Yesterday was travel. So really today, tomorrow, I'll get a chance to go back and watch, at least watch some TV copy from some of their other games and see what jumps out. I do know this, though, as we were pointing out earlier, I think it's probably the number one thing to know about A&M's defense is they are a really good pass rush. They really do get after opposing quarterbacks. Really similar to Tennessee in that regard, and that was the difference I felt like in the game between State and Tennessee. It was Tennessee's pass rush. Too many times, too often, and too effectively were getting to Blake Shapen, and we saw that. Biggest play in the fourth quarter was the sack fumble that went back for another touchdown that the offense gave up. And so this is another, to this point, this will be the one you saw against Tennessee, the pass rush you're about to see with A&M. To this point, they are the two best pass rushes you will see this season. And then we'll see what Oklahoma's like. But State didn't have to play them, see. So that's the biggest thing. And as I was pointing, if you just joined us, I was pointing this out in hour one. The numbers are this. Again, not all schedules are the same. Whatever, stats. But Tennessee and Oklahoma both are averaging 4 sacks a game. So the total is, for Tennessee, 20 sacks in 5 games. For Oklahoma, 16 sacks in 4 games. 1 game difference. But they're both averaging 4 a game. Well, A&M's right behind them at 3.5 a game. And 3.5 sacks a game is basically where Tennessee was coming into the State game. They went in there and got 5. So that's really the biggest thing to know about them, I think, right now until I can learn a little bit more. All right. Sven on the YouTube live stream says the odds that we upset a well-coached and loaded team like the Aggies on the road are not good. He said that's not the old Jimbo A&M anymore. They, talking about the Aggies, know what they are doing. Well, you know what, Sven? It's interesting how I was thinking the same thing, almost looking over some things, kind of glancing at during the commercial break. As we were going from hour 1 to hour 2, the thing kind of popped in my head of, this is, they're well coached and they have a really solid operation put together. This is not the Jimbo Fisher team. Certainly not the Jimbo Fisher offense at A&M. It's a whole different challenge. It really is. I think what led me to think that is I read a headline. Somebody's posting a preview story of the game on social media, and their headline on X, formerly Twitter, said that State hasn't left the state of Mississippi for a game yet, and now they go this week into one of the most hostile environments in all of college football. And I went, I don't know that I would actually describe it that way. It is a huge stadium. It is. I mean, and they fill it up, and their fans are engaged, and it is loud. The stadium itself, the way it's built, I've told you this before, but if you ever get a chance just to go and see, because the stadium itself, all by itself is a spectacle, the way it's built. It's like 4 levels of seating hanging right over the playing surface. It's a whole different thing than these bowl stadiums that you see like in Tuscaloosa and other places. So that's one thing. But for whatever reason, it's not an easy place to play. They have good teams, very well coached, all that kind of stuff. But nobody would describe A&M, who's been there and played there, nobody would come out of there describing it as a hostile place to go play. It's just, that's not what it is. It's a fun place to play. It's a great atmosphere. It's just not hostile. Is it? I don't think that's splitting hairs to say that. Nobody comes out of there feeling that way. And really, A&M's results in home games over the years prove it's not hostile. Because they've not been dominant in there. But is it a great atmosphere? Yeah. Do they fill it up? Yeah. Is it loud? Yeah. It's just nothing really hostile about it. And I think that's almost to their credit. Everybody at A&M you run into is nice. Every student, every fan, everybody working at the stadium, all the staff, they're all nice. It's a great trip. Good food. I will tell you, I had to get Neil on to tell this story, but several years ago we went and Neil had scouted it out. He's the foodie. Neil can find the good food anywhere. That's Neil Price, play-by-play voice for State, and he found a Tex-Mex place that somebody had sworn by, and he's like, "We got to go." And I was like, "Okay." So we got the Uber from the hotel, and it takes us, and then we veer off the main roads, and we're kind of back in some sketchy looking like neighborhoods. There's potholes everywhere, and then the pavement ends. We kept going. He turned a corner, and when he turned the corner, it's like off the pothole riddled road onto some gravel, turned the corner, and he goes, "This is it." And I'm like, "Oh, wait a minute. That's it?" He's like, "Yeah." And it doesn't look great. Concrete block building. It's not much sitting there, gravel parking lot. Society is on this side of the car, and on this side, there's nothing. Like I can see a long way this way. It's like the desert is what it felt like. He said, "This is it." It's like, okay. And we were walking in. I hadn't said much. Neil looked at me and goes, "You okay?" I said, "This is a setup." That's what this is. I've watched movies like this. And anyway, we went in. They were as nice as they could have possibly been. And the food was outstanding. From the free smoked jalapeno and oil dip for my chips to everything we ate that day. I couldn't get enough of it. I couldn't go back and find it to save my life. But Neil found it. Anyway, it's a good trip. I advise you to go on the trip if you can. Mr. Harmon says on YouTube, if State beats A&M, it'll be difficult to have a normal conversation with me. I'd reference the W in every single one of them. Yeah, they're up against it. I mean, really, it's this really good A&M team. You got to go on there. It's your real first long road trip of the year, and you're a little banged up. I think a lot of how you're going to feel about your chances in the game, like Sven said earlier, are going to have to do with, who you find out today and tomorrow actually has a chance to play for you on both sides of the ball. Isaac Smith got a little banged up, Albert Reese on offense, Brennan Thompson on offense, your fastest receiver, some of that stuff. Manning, one of your other safeties. I think it's a really good point. Hey, I'm coming to some more of your texts and your comments, but right now I want you to hear some of this. This is Jeff Levy. He's previewing Texas A&M, so don't just take my word for it. He's the coach. And he talked a little bit about the road trip, about, the approach. He started off in this Q&A with media this week describing the mindset of coming off the first loss of the year and what you have to do then on Monday and Tuesday after a loss versus a win and all that. Here's Jeff Levy.
Our statement today and how we met and our guys' body language and understanding what we've got ahead of us. And it's always about what's next. It doesn't matter what happens on Saturday on the right side or the wrong side. You got to get better on Monday. And we got to have the best Monday we've ever had. That is the message. And I think because that's the message every single week, I'm hopeful our guys are able to clear this and have the ability to go prepare the right way. And again, our preparation got to be advantage us, and it's how we do what we do on Monday and throughout the rest of the week. So I think our guys sense that. There's great urgency in fixing the problems and being able to get ready to go 1-0.
Kind of along those lines, we grew up in a time when, when you won, you were your coach's favorite, and when you lost, you were a bum. How do you kind of manage that where it's not so transactional, where it's really more consistent with the brand? Yeah, again, our guys understanding that Monday is a mental Monday. It's a way to be able to clean up the mistakes from the prior game, and it's the ability to get on to the next opponent to start preparing, to give ourselves a chance to be the best that we've been all year long on Saturday at 6:30. So, again, the consistency in the message every single week, good or bad, I think is what's most important, and hopeful that our guys feel that and understand that.
Could Kamario Taylor possibly start seeing some more time or just involvement in the offense?
Yeah, I think for us as we move forward, Kamario is still going to have the packages that he has as we get into it, but that'll all be dictated on how the game's played and what situations we're in.
Okay, so there you were, 3 questions into Levy's deal. This week he gets a question about, is Kamario Taylor going to see more playing time? And then it's to get a response from Levy and see what he says about it. And I honestly don't think from Levy right there it was just a throwaway answer to move past it. I think he's saying exactly what they're going to do and what they plan to do, and that was, given every game, the matchup and the situations in the game, that'll dictate when he goes in there and what he does. And they have found unique ways to get him involved because he's such a talent, but not to the point of taking the whole game and putting it on his shoulders yet as like a starter. And, you can believe it or not. It doesn't matter to me. I'm just telling you the truth. It is big time different. Being a backup, having a package of things you do or having a certain role or going in and playing if somebody gets hurt, that's one thing. It's a whole different thing when the whole game is yours. And everything the other guys are doing are through film study of trying to pick you apart. It's a whole different animal to be that starter. And it's a coach's job to figure out when, number one, the player's ready, and number two, when that would be best for the team. And I think when it gets that point, you'll make the change, you play him. But if it's not that point, you won't. And it must not be that point yet. More from Levy.
Coach, he probably hadn't been a surprise to you, but the fans, DJ Reed's kind of been a surprise over the defensive line so far this year. When you're evaluating guys in the transfer portal and you have somebody like DJ that didn't play much at Auburn at all, what's kind of the pathway there? What's kind of the evaluation process when you look at a guy like that?
So we've got some people in the building over there where he came from that we've got great familiarity with and have worked with, and there's a really good relationship with and trust opinions. That's helpful through this whole portal thing. And being able to get somebody on the phone, man, that you've worked next to and you understand who he is every day and how he can sign off on a kid, that's incredibly helpful. So we felt really good about DJ's ability. There's got to be this great maturity from him. He's continued to mature the right way. Man, he's affecting the game. I just got through talking to him about wanting more. This kid is really talented, but, man, want more and more and more, and proud of how he's doing what he's doing right now.
Hey, and what that was he was asked about DJ Reed, the transfer from Auburn, who's still a young defensive lineman, but he really has played well. And so you heard Levy saying, what helps is when there's coaches at the school he's coming from who you know and trust, and y'all talk about it. So, it's a little bit of an insight into I think sometimes as fans on the outside, we think, the coaches at all these different schools, they are such competitors, they would never help each other. But what you heard there is in regards to players who, for whatever reason, they've made the decision, I'm transferring. I'm in the portal, I'm leaving. That if you know certain people, you call them up. If you've spent time coaching with them or been around them, you call them and you get honest answers about whether or not that player would fit or not. That's basically what he said.
When you have a game like that, when you go back and watch the film, how difficult is it for you to not be overly critical of yourself in some situations? Are you able to give yourself the credit that you're due at times?
No, I'm not able to give myself any credit. We got our ass beat, and it's very frustrating. And I got to do better. I got to coach better. I got to get done what we need to get done so that at the end of the game we're +1, and that's bottom line.
Coach Zachary had a really great game. He was frustrated after the game because he missed that tackle in overtime. But just talk about his development and what are you seeing about him and maybe being able to bounce back from that moment.
Yeah, he's affected the game. And the guy plays really, really fast. He's done a really good job. He's got to continue to play cleaner, and he can play cleaner football, and that's the stress with him. But he's doing some great things. And, again, we've talked about it since I've been here. The guy's got a chance to be an exceptional player for us. He's got to continue to get better and better, and again get ready to go play that next play on Saturday at 6:30.
All right, that's Levy there talking about Zachary Tillman, who did really play well against Tennessee. Had a sack late, had the interception in the ball game at one point, and but they blocked everything up, and he's coming from the inside at middle linebacker to go over there and make the tackle. He was the only guy that hit the ball carrier and didn't make the tackle on that touchdown run in overtime for Tennessee, and so he was pretty torn up about it after the ball game. We'll come back and get some more from Levy a little bit later in this hour. Jason, I don't think I dreamed this up, but I thought somebody asked about third down defense. We were talking about stats, numbers, and just kind of what it is to this point. It's a little bit of a grain of salt because all the schedules were not the same. To whoever that was that asked me that, whomever, the numbers to this point: opponent third down conversion percentages. Compared to the rest of the SEC through 5 games, State is actually pretty good. They're top half of the league, but really about top third of the league. Opponents converting third downs at 32%, which is just a couple of points lower than LSU. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it'd be good for 7th in the SEC, 32.35%, 32%. LSU is at 30%, but State opponents' third down conversion percentage slightly better than Florida, Vandy, Ole Miss at 34%, Tennessee at 35%, Kentucky, Georgia, Alabama. Georgia and Alabama's opponents are converting a little over 40% of their third downs. The bottom of the league is South Carolina and Arkansas. Arkansas is the only team. They're at 48% giving up third downs, and so they're the only one really close to 50%. State, top half of the league. Oklahoma's has been really good. Opponents are only converting 17% of their third downs against Oklahoma. Missouri's defense good statistically. A&M is 4th in the league. Opponents converting only 24% of their third down. They've been a really good third down defense at Texas A&M. So, to whomever asked that question, there's your answer. Yeah, offensively, they're kind of in the same spot. Let's see. offensive third down conversions. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Ole Miss is 6th. State is 7th. Ole Miss offense converting 52%. State's offense 46%. It's good enough for 6th and 7th in the SEC. So kind of middle of the pack right now against the schedules that you've played. State has the number 2 turnover margin in the SEC right now. Among SEC teams. So there you go. I mean, that's enough stats, right? Maybe look at it a little more. And let's see, have they sent, at some point in the league, they will begin sending out, they'll begin sending out SEC-only stats. But we don't have enough SEC games under anybody's belt for the league to begin sending that out. It's just crazy to think, too, how that works. You play in a 12-game schedule. We think about it being a months-long deal. Okay, but you're a month, into the season. You got a whole month of the season behind you, and you don't have enough SEC matchups across the league to really even have SEC-only stats. We got to get into October before we even start to get enough games to even get those. So that's kind of tells you that paints the statistical stuff in a certain light there. I'll let you know we just got a long way to go before the stats will really start to mean something. All right, rolling along with you. I'll let you hear. There's not much left, but a few more things from that Jeff Lebby press conference that I think are meaningful. And that'll be coming up next here in the Bureau on this Wednesday, the Farm Bureau Insurance Studio. Farm Bureau, go with the home team. Stick around.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Hey y'all, Matt Wyatt here. Each week on the Mississippi Outdoors Podcast, we talk with the people who live it. Hunters, biologists, game wardens, local celebrities, and storytellers that know Mississippi better than anyone.
Those bass come up there and attack them. You know how mean bass can be there.
You're never going to believe this. Matt Wyatt just talked about your deer on the radio. I said, what did he say? He said, it was Photoshopped. And I said, what?
They don't know anything about hunting. They just have never had that right, that freedom.
Dude, that's us, man. That's what we do. So tune in. Be inspired, and we'll see you outdoors.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Yeah. Farm Bureau Insurance in Mississippi. Local agents in all 82 counties. So here's what that means. You have that fender bender, hopefully you don't, but let's say you do at an odd time. Something goes on. It's Saturday night at 11 p.m. You don't have to wait until Monday morning to call some 800 number and talk to someone 3 states away. You've got your agent's phone number right there on your phone because you go to church with him. Your kids go to school together. He lives right down the road. You see each other at the ball games on Friday nights. So it's personal with your local Farm Bureau insurance agent in all 82 counties in this entire state. And if anything does arise and you need to, run it up the chain or up the flagpole, the home offices for Farm Bureau Insurance are in Jackson, Mississippi. It's right here in the state of Mississippi. It doesn't get more local than and personal, the service that you get with Farm Bureau Insurance in Mississippi. I can't recommend them highly enough. And if you haven't, recently, let them give you a quote. Home, life, auto. It's Farm Bureau Insurance. Go with the home team.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Well, look at what we have here. Christmas come early. Boom. Little green onion country pleasing. That's not all. Little original smoked sausage flavor. That's not all. Jalapeno and cheddar. It has to be one of my favorite, just judging by how much of that stuff I eat. Oh, can't forget. andouille. Don't be saying andouille, it's andouille. And last, but not least, pork and pineapple, bun size, 3 links bun size. Look at that right there. Be careful. Come on with it. It's mine. Come here, jalapeno. Oh, that's all mine. Country pleasing sausage. The Junction Deli's, convenience redefined, and Prince Oil Company, a match made in heaven. The Junction Deli, fueled by Prince Oil Company. Prince Oil Company has been fueling Central Mississippi since 1960s. Pretty good little while. Wonderful people. Man, am I ever more tickled that they're a part of the show and I'm a part of their team now. As you know, if you listen to the radio show, I've been to the Junction in several different places around the
You think right now on the Zone 105.9 and worldwide at thezone1059.com.
Back with you, I'm Matt, in the Bureau, the Farm Bureau Insurance Studio. Farm Bureau, go! The home team. Let's see. Will commented, and he said, Matt, I know how much you love Paul Feinbaum and politics. Did you see where Paul said that he's thinking about running for U.S. Senate? Someone mentioned that to me yesterday, or maybe it was the day before. No, I think it was when I was in Jackson yesterday. Somebody mentioned that. And I thought, I don't know what that means. If somebody who's in media, if they're running for office, you're going to have to, aren't you going to have to quit to go do that? I would think you are. That's interesting. I don't know. I mean, you've seen people get out of coaching and go do it or want to go do it. Maybe different challenge. Maybe they just feel like there's a purpose they can serve, whatever. Have at it. More power to you. Let's see. Commander Holland says, do you still do breakdowns for teams other than Mississippi State? Well, not anymore, really, Commander. I just don't have time for it. I guess there was a time when I made time for it, but not anymore. I think it's as much as anything, Commander Holland, it's just really me sort of deciding to be honest, be completely honest with anyone who either listens to me on the radio or consumes the content on YouTube, whatever. And that is, State's my team, especially in the transfer portal / pay for play era that we're in now. It's really the only team I have any interest in following anymore. My knowledge of other teams and my analysis of other teams, really, it has to do with how it relates to State, if we're playing them or if we just played them and that kind of thing. And so that's just kind of where I am. And I really appreciate the kind words, and thanks for coming and asking that. Yeah. Old Tackle on YouTube with an interesting question. He said, what is the quarterback perspective on sharing playing time? As a lineman, he says, I hated it. Once the first hit was over, I didn't want to come out. But then again, I'm very old school. I hated it. I don't think I've ever known any quarterback who loved the idea of sharing any playing time. It stinks because you want to play, right? I mean, the whole idea is all the practice, all the lifting, is so you can play like you want to play. You'd have to really love playing to go through all that other mess to be ready to play. Otherwise, why would you ever put yourself through that, right? So it's all about playing. You want to play. And, I think, I experienced it in my college career really from every single perspective of, desiring to get playing time to then earning playing time to being the backup and earning some playing time and then even earning a start or two as the backup and then earning the job as a starter, becoming the starter, getting benched, coming out of a game, going back in, all the different things that you could probably experience. And I experienced some of it. I guess there are some guys who don't. There are some quarterbacks who go into it. Maybe they get the job, and for 2 years or 3 years, they're the starter, and they play every snap, and so they don't maybe have the same perspective. But I would say that anybody who's ever played quarterback, one of the traits you have is you're really confident in your ability. Or you wouldn't be there. And especially at a certain level, you wouldn't be there if you didn't have the ability. And you do. And you're just waiting for the opportunity to get out there and do it. And so sharing playing time is tough. And nobody wants to do it at that position. And it is totally different than, say, platoon positions like running back, safety, linebacker, receiver, where it's a part of the deal. It's what the team wants, is fresh legs rotating in and out, pass rushers on third down, and it just goes with the territory. There's no such thing as playing every snap. Well, no quarterback ever wants to share any playing time. That's just the way that is. Let me flip it back over. You can hear the rest of this Q&A with Jeff Lebby getting ready for Texas A&M.
Coach, we saw a lot of guys go down with injuries during the game. What can you say about the guys that stepped in and filled that role and played, I guess, the rest of the game?
Yeah, we had guys, again, that did some really good things that got in the game. You've heard me say this a ton. Regardless of who is in the game, the expectation is to be able to go execute at a really high level. Some of the guys were able to get that done, and some were not. And for us, we've got to get healthy while getting better, and that's a huge strength for us this week.
You only have a short time to, I guess, evaluate what happens on Saturday before you focus on what's next. What's that process been like, turning ahead to Texas A&M this week, and what have you focused on with them? Yeah, again, as we cleaned the game up for me Saturday night and into Sunday morning, then it was just ready to get on to A&M. A really, really good football team. I think we understand their roster, talent level, things like that, but offensively been really explosive in the throw game. 2 great receivers. They've got 2 really, really good running backs, and they've got a veteran O-line that's played a lot of ball defensively. There's some similarities from the standpoint that they've created a bunch of sacks, and that's going to be a huge point of emphasis again for us this week. We've got to find ways to protect, keep 2 upright, and give him a chance to pitch and catch.
All right, and let me say, I'll jump in there. You hear that comment from Jeff Lebby. A&M, similar to Tennessee from a pass rush standpoint, individual players who can really get going and rev their engine at times in the game. I'm looking at it from the outside in, and, you go into a game like that where you saw what can happen. You get your quarterback hit a bunch. And, I know on the sacks, I don't know about some of the every single other play, but I know on the 5 sacks in the game, it had nothing to do with quarterback. It's just simply pass protection breakdowns, and no quarterback's going to stand in there and not get affected. There might be a few that are good enough athletes to maybe take off, run, make some of those guys miss and create something, but most quarterbacks on those are going to get hit. You're not going to get a ball out on time. That was not a quarterback sack. Those were protection sacks. Well, and then you had other hits on the QB as he's throwing a ball in the game. So two priorities being, 1, best chance to win this game. 2, best chance to keep Blake Shapen healthy to win some more games later in the year. You can't have him getting hit again the way he got hit against Tennessee. Can't have it. You have that enough, you will play football without him. Trust me. And so I can't help but think, as I listen to Lebby talk about that, you're going up against a team on the road now like A&M, that depending on who you have healthy in the offensive line, whether or not Reese can play or not, and who's going to play, it's got to. I just don't see any other way that it can be other than it's got to affect how you plan to play. What you want to do, how many times in drop back you'll have him standing in the pocket. How many times on play action you'll have him standing in the pocket against certain looks without running back or tight end help and protection. Well, if you do that, it affects who's out in the route. It affects the coverage. It affects who gets open. So from a play calling standpoint, based on who you have healthy or don't, and I think it plays a major factor in how you play call this thing based on the fact it's another team that can pass rush and can really, you hate to say it, but threaten the health of your quarterback.
I know you'll have a more detailed injury report, but is there anything to report yet on the guys that went out, like Albert and Brennan and some of those guys?
There's not. We'll let the Wednesday report do the talking.
When you look back at the game, too, and the pressure they were able to get on Blake, if Albert is out, what's your confidence level on those tackles being able to get it done in the SEC?
We're going to look at a couple of different things. Hopefully Albert's, going to be back. That's the hope, obviously. But have a couple of different options to be able to go roll guys and make sure we got the best five on the field.
Pretty loud defensive performance from A&M last week. I think 176 yards.
Yep.
0-11 on third downs, 0-2.
0-13.
Yeah, so when you start looking at that aspect, that when a team has kind of like that coming out party, does it change kind of how you do things, or what are your thoughts about what they did?
They were dominant situationally, and ultimately why they won the football game without a doubt on third and fourth down, and then them again applying pressure and being able to get to the QB. So we've got to counteract that. We've got to make sure we're doing a great job of getting the ball out of Tu's hands and then giving those big boys a little bit of help when they need it, whatever that looks like. That looks like a lot of different things, but it is. I mentioned it, and going to be a huge point of emphasis for us.
Well, and so there's some of the answer. It does affect what you do from a game plan and an offensive game plan standpoint going in. It does affect it because you got to get the ball out of his hands. You got to run it at him. It just goes without saying, one of the best ways to affect somebody's pass rush is to run the ball right into their face. There's been tons of examples over the years of the NFL all the way to high school. You play a team, they got one or two individuals, or certainly one individual who's a great edge pass rush guy, and you'll spend the whole first half running lead right into his face. Because a lot of times those guys don't want to play that kind of game. So all that stuff starts to play a factor as people get banged up and you get later and later into the year. All right, rolling along with you here on this Wednesday. A little bit of time left when we come back in the Bureau. Stick around.
We'll be right back.
Farm Bureau Insurance in Mississippi. Local agents in all 82 counties. So here's what that means. You have that fender bender, hopefully you don't, but let's say you do at an odd time. Something goes on. It's Saturday night at 11 p.m. You don't have to wait until Monday morning to call some 800 number and talk to someone 3 states away. You've got your agent's phone number right there on your phone because you go to church with him. Your kids go to school together. He lives right down the road. You see each other at the ball games on Friday nights. So it's personal with your local Farm Bureau insurance agent in all 82 counties in this entire state. And if anything does arise and you need to, run it up the chain or up the flagpole, the home offices for Farm Bureau Insurance are in Jackson, Mississippi. It's right here in the state of Mississippi. It doesn't get more local than and personal, the service that you get with Farm Bureau Insurance in Mississippi. I can't recommend them highly enough. And if you haven't, recently, let them give you a quote. Home, life, auto. It's Farm Bureau Insurance. Go with the home team.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Well, look at what we have here. Christmas come early. Boom. Little green onion country pleasing. That's not all. Little original smoked sausage flavor. That's not all. Jalapeno and cheddar It has to be one of my favorite, just judging by how much of that stuff I eat. Oh, can't forget. Andouille. Don't be saying andouille, it's andouille. And last, but not least, pork and pineapple, bun size, 3 links bun size. Look at that right there. Whee! Be careful. Come on with it. It's mine. Come here, jalapeno. Oh, that's all mine. Country pleasing sausage. We'll be right back after this message from C Spire. My name is Matt Wyatt. I host the Matt Wyatt radio show out of my home using C Spire fiber.
And when we hit the road as a family, Matt's show goes with us, thanks to C Spire Wireless.
Its ultra-reliable nationwide network lets me broadcast live from anywhere.
And never miss a moment that matters.
Connecting you to what inspires you most on C Spire's blazing fast 5G network. And right now, get your choice of free phone. That's customer inspired. That's C Spire.
Y'all like coffee? I know you do. Check it out. Little High Point Roasters from New Albany, Mississippi. That is the breakfast blend. It's whole bean. And if you notice, that's how much I've had already. Brazil Oberon. Not Orgeron or Orgeron, you LSU. No, Brazil Oberon. That ain't all. We got that. What flavor is that? Papua New Guinea grade AA. Bring it on. High Point Roasters, New Albany, Mississippi. Roast it right there. That's whole bean. One more. I got more. Ah, tried and true. Magnolia blend.
The Zone 1059.com.
Back with you. I'm Matt in the Bureau, the Farm Bureau Insurance Studio. Farm Bureau, go with the home team. They are your home team at Farm Bureau. Let's see. Bulldog X3, is that the name here? On the Country Pleasing text line, it says, Chapin got to get rid of the ball and move. Sometimes he gets caught standing there, patting the ball like he's Joe Montana. He said he is scared and shell-shocked. Well, I disagree. I think, sure, there's sometimes he can get rid of it. He really plays within the offense pretty well. And, that kid, you talk about guts. You watch that Tennessee game. He's a warrior. Plays with no fear at all, which is one of the many requirements. It's sort of a baseline requirement, but he sure has it. Not that big of a guy, but he plays with no fear whatsoever. He's got my respect in that regard for sure. All right, Sven. What do you think? Sven says State versus Aggies all time is 9-9. And what, past 3 seasons? Right. Because at one time it was State had a 9-7 advantage, and what, A&M's won the last 3. They really have caught up there. And I agree. He says Jim Ellis and Neil Price are the best. They really are. I mean, they really are. Again, it's early. Yeah, 4 or 5 games in for everyone. Let's look at A&M's offense. You got to consider, you look at this stuff, you consider who they play. They've got the game against Notre Dame, right? And then it had open date in there somewhere. What was it, last week? They have an open date before that? No, it was not last week. Their open date was 2 weeks ago. So after the Notre Dame game. So they beat UTSA 42-24. They scored 42 points against a bad team, give up 24, blowout, season opener. Utah State, 44 points, give up 22, bad team, 2-0. Then go to Notre Dame. We saw Notre Dame's offense against Arkansas. I'm talking about blew them out on the road. They have a good offense. But at home, A&M wins it, drama at the end, that whole thing, 41-40. Heck of a ball game. But you go on the road, you play a good offense, give up 40. Open day, and then this past week, with 2 weeks to get ready, score 16 points on Auburn's defense and put up 10 on offense. So that's what we're talking about. So you only have 4 games, not 5 on A&M to sort of, get a gauge. 1 conference game, but it is Auburn. Okay, but Auburn did hold them to 16 in their own building. Well, there again, Auburn's offense is good and terrible. So sometimes you're playing an offense like that, it affects how conservative you are in your own offense when you don't need to take chances, right? I don't know. So it's hard to put your head around it until you see maybe 4 or 5 more games and against comparable type competition. But to this point, compared to the rest of the SEC, A&M's right in the smack dab middle of the pack. They are 8th out of 16 teams, averaging 35.75 points a game. What about State? Well, State's at 38.6 points a game. Okay, State's got the 60-point deal in there against Alcorn. And, A&M, they've played 1 fewer game. State's played 1 more, but A&M hasn't played a team as bad as Alcorn. So some things are skewed. But that's kind of where it is right now. A&M at 35 a game. And like I said, they've got a game in there against Auburn and 1 against Notre Dame on the road. Now, we talked about sacks a minute ago. In terms of pass rush and hitting other quarterbacks, A&M's really good. They're averaging 3.5 sacks a game, while Tennessee and Oklahoma lead the league at 4 sacks a game so far. What about the rest of the defense? Again, you're going to know numbers. You just saw who they played. A&M and State are basically right at each other. They're right there with each other. State's giving up 305 a game. A&M's giving up 307. The splits on that, run and pass, are I guess you would have to do average because State has played 1 more game than A&M has. But see, in 1 more game, having played 1 more game, State has given up less than 100 yards more passing in the air than A&M has. You look at schedules. Again, one of their games is Auburn, though. So they've really, A&M's only really played 3 teams that can throw the ball a little bit because Auburn can't. And still they've almost given up, as many passing yards within 100, less than 100, as State has in 5 games. So, I don't know. What does that mean? It's a little bit like Tennessee, right? Defensively, you hit the other quarterback a lot, but at the same time, you're giving up a lot of yards defensively and touchdowns. I gave you those touchdown numbers earlier. A&M has allowed 11 touchdowns defensively. A&M has allowed 11 touchdowns in 4 games. State has given up 8 touchdowns in 5 games. But it's really 4 because you had a shutout in one of them. Still, Arizona State, ranked team. Tennessee. I guess what I'm doing is I could make a case. A&M went to Notre Dame. Okay, good for them. But I could sit here and make a case that outside of just the sheer sack numbers of a difference of a couple of sacks, maybe 1.5 sacks a game, outside of that, State's defense has been better against maybe a slightly better schedule than A&M's has. You could absolutely make that case if you wanted to. I don't know what the point is. They're going to play Saturday. We'll see. But you could certainly make that case. So, as it relates to giving up touchdowns, they had the game they give up 40-something to Notre Dame. State had an overtime game with Tennessee, right? Hosted a really good team in Arizona State. Got after them for a half. And A&M's pretty near the bottom of the SEC and giving up 24 points a ball game. State's giving up 17 a ball game. That's just how it averages out. What about offense? I'm talking about the bare bones, most basic offensive number you could look at. Touchdown scored. State in 5 games has scored 25 touchdowns. A&M in 4 games has scored 18 touchdowns. And as I told you, in terms of points per game, State's a little hair above. They're at 38 points a game, A&M at 35. But total touchdowns, I mean, the average is really close. They're about the same, aren't they? Mm-hmm. State's at 5 touchdowns a ball game on average. A&M's between 4 and 5 touchdowns a ball game. So it's pretty close. Pretty close. Anyway, those are just some really, really basic numbers. And I think that it's one of those deals where, I don't think it's a waste of time. You got to know that stuff. Might as well know that stuff if you're interested in the games. But we'll get in here a month from now. And when we look at some stats, we're really going to have something to look at. Sven throws a caveat in there. He says State played a terrible Tennessee secondary and a bad ASU team without Scadaboo. Well, I mean, maybe so. Sven, we might get to the end of the year and you might go, man, A&M had Notre Dame and Auburn earlier in the year, and both of those teams are better than Arizona State and Tennessee, but you might not. That's what I'm saying. And, Tennessee, yeah, they're banged up in the secondary, but so was State. Banged up in the secondary, but at the same time, they're not banged up front. And one of the better pass rushes you're going to see. Nationally, in terms of quarterback pressures and hits and sacks, Arizona State's ranked way up there, so far with what they're doing. So I would disagree in saying that even though Tennessee was without a couple of guys, I would disagree in calling them terrible. And I would also disagree in saying that Arizona State, it's a bad Arizona State team. I mean, they are without Scadaboo, and they're not as good with him. But I don't think they're a bad team at all. Not at all. All right. That will wrap it up. I'm Matt. In the Bureau for this Wednesday, that's it. For me and for Beaver and all of us here on the show in the Farm Bureau Insurance Studio. Farm Bureau, go! With the home team. We will see you tomorrow. Same time, same place. See you then. See you.